I ran without knowing where I was going, only away from the noise, the anger, the shouting, the heavy weight of a life that squeezed tight around my ribs. The city behind me faded into a blur of dim streetlights and shuttered windows, a world I no longer belonged to. My feet carried me to the edge of everything familiar, to streets that twisted like forgotten riddles. Then, there it was, the sleeping library. It wasn't on any map, and no one spoke of it in the daylight. A building swallowed by shadow and time, its facade cracked and worn, vines curling like dark fingers along its walls. The heavy door loomed before me, carved with symbols I half recognized but couldn't name. The air smelled of dust and rain, of secrets trapped beneath layers of silence. I hesitated, breath caught in my throat. The city's chaos was a distant roar behind me, but here, in this place, the world seemed to hold its breath. With a trembling hand, I pushed the door open. It creaked, a sound like a sigh escaping after centuries of sleep. Inside, the library stretched endlessly, a cathedral of shadows and whispered stories. Shelves towered high above, laden with books whose spines were cracked and faded, some bound in leather, others in strange materials that seemed to pulse faintly under my gaze. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, ink, and something undefinable, like the echo of dreams long forgotten. I stepped cautiously forward, every footfall swallowed by the heavy silence. It was as if the building itself was alive, breathing softly around me. My fingers brushed over the spines, tracing titles that flickered and shifted, impossible to read fully. Then, a whisperer thread of sound almost beneath hearing, like the sigh of a soul caught between waking and sleep. Curiosity pulled me deeper. I found a small table nestled between two towering stacks and laid a book open. The pages shimmered, and suddenly the room melted away. I stood in a place that was not a place, a dream realm woven from mist and light, where colors sang softly and the air thrummed with ancient knowledge. I saw faces ghostly, beautiful, and sad trapped within the pages, each one a soul dreaming, waiting. Then the weight hit me, a hollow ache in my chest, a slow, creeping chill that wrapped around my heart. I blinked and was back in the library, the book resting quietly on the table. But I knew something had changed. Time had slipped from me, a year stolen in the crossing between worlds. Fear and wonder tangled within me. This place was sanctuary and prison both. The books held souls, dreaming and bound, and to touch their stories was to pay a price I wasn't sure I could afford. I sank into a shadowed corner, the silence pressing close. Outside, the city lights flickered, distant and unreachable. Here, in the sleeping library, I was alone but not lonely. The voices whispered, the books breathed, and the night held me in its quiet embrace. I didn't know what awaited me beyond the next page, but I knew I had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. The library had claimed me, and I was both frightened and strangely comforted by the weight of its secrets. And so, with trembling hands and a heart full of questions, I opened another book. The journey had begun. The air was thick with dust and magic, the faint scent of aged parchment mingling with something more elusive, something alive. I moved cautiously, fingers brushing spines worn smooth by countless hands, my heart pounding in a strange rhythm that seemed to echo the library's breath. I reached out toward a leather-bound tome, its surface cracked and dark as though it had weathered centuries. The title was embossed in faded silver, unreadable at first glance. My fingers trembled. I hesitated, the weight of the silence pressing down on me. Then, with a deep breath, I pried it open. The moment the pages parted, the world shifted. Colors bloomed like oil on water, swirling in impossible patterns around me. The cool air thickened, and the scent of ink morphed into something richer, deeper, like the scent of dreams themselves. My feet left the wooden floor, and I was pulled forward, falling through layers of shadow and light. I landed in a place both alien and familiar. The sky above was not sky, but a shifting tapestry of symbols and whispers, glowing softly in shades of violet and emerald. Around me, the ground rippled like liquid glass, reflecting fragments of distant memories and lost knowledge. Figures floated nearby translucent, shimmering forms with eyes that held endless sorrow and longing. They whispered in voices that danced just beyond comprehension, telling stories that felt like echoes of my own heart. I reached out to one, a woman whose face was blurred yet hauntingly beautiful. She smiled sadly, and I felt a coldness coil in my chest. Time here was different. Each breath seemed to stretch and contract, and I became painfully aware of a slow, steady drain like invisible threads pulling at the edges of my life. Suddenly, the dreamscape shifted again, and I was back in the library. The tome closed gently on my lap. The room was silent, but the weight of what I had experienced settled heavily upon me. I pressed my hands to my chest, feeling the faint pulse of something lost. A soft glow caught my eye. From the shadows emerged a figure, pale and shimmering, her robes flowing like liquid moonlight. She moved with a grace that seemed both delicate and unyielding, her eyes deep pools of ancient wisdom. "You have opened a door," she said, her voice a hush that seemed to vibrate through the air, "and with it, you have traded a piece of your own time." I blinked, searching her face. "Who are you?" "I am Eleanor," she replied, "a guardian of this place and a soul bound to its pages." Her presence was comforting yet filled with sorrow. "Why does it take so much? Why does each book cost me a year?" She looked away, her gaze distant. "The library is a sanctuary, but also a prison. The souls within these books are caught between dreams and waking, bound by enchantments older than memory. To enter their world is to share their burden." I swallowed hard, the enormity of it settling in. But why me? Why was I drawn here? "Because you sought refuge," Eleanor said softly, "and sometimes refuge demands a price." I turned back to the shelves, suddenly aware of the countless lives sleeping within. Each book was a whisper, a heartbeat frozen in time, waiting to be heard. The library was alive, breathing with secrets and sacrifices. Days passed, or perhaps only moments, time now a fragile thread. I found myself drawn again to the books, unable to resist the lure of the dream realms and the knowledge they held. Each time I opened a tome, I felt the invisible toll, the slow ebbing of my years. Eleanor appeared often, offering riddles and warnings. "Beware the hunger for knowledge that blinds you to cost," she said once, her voice tinged with melancholy. "It is a delicate balance you must learn to walk." I listened, but the ache inside me was both a warning and a promise. Here, in the quiet sanctuary of the library, I could escape the noise of my past. Yet, with every page, I became more entwined in the library's magic and its price. One afternoon, as the light filtered through stained glass, casting fractured rainbows across the worn wooden floor, I sat alone at a heavy table. The weight of solitude pressed down on me, mingling with the library's whispering secrets. I traced the edges of a book, feeling the rough leather under my fingertips, and wondered how much of myself I was willing to surrender. The voices from the dreaming souls called softly, a lullaby of forgotten hopes and warnings. And as I closed my eyes, I realized the sanctuary I sought was also a trap, one built from longing, sacrifice, and the fragile hope of belonging. But even as fear gnawed at the edges of my resolve, I knew I could not turn away. For the first time in a long while, the library offered more than silence it, offered a chance to be seen, to be heard, to dream. And so I opened another book. The sleeping library seemed to breathe around me, its ancient shelves stretching endlessly upward, filled with tomes that whispered their secrets in voices too delicate to catch fully. I clutched the leather-bound book I had found tucked away in a shadowed nook, its cover worn and cracked, the gold-embossed letters shimmering faintly in the dim light. The weight in my chest was heavier than ever. The price I had just learned to pay was no longer a distant threat, but a tangible cost I felt with every breath. Each time I opened a book, a year slipped away from the fragile thread of my life. I had to be cautious now, more than ever. But the pull of the library's magic was irresistible, and curiosity gnawed at the edges of my fear. I settled onto a bench near the end of the aisle and carefully opened the tome. The pages rustled softly, like the sigh of a sleeping creature stirred from dreams. Golden script danced before my eyes, weaving words that shimmered and flowed like liquid light. Slowly, the air around me thickened, and the world blurred at the edges. The library faded, replaced by a shifting dreamscape where shadows and memories tangled like vines. A sudden movement caught the corner of my vision. From the depths of the book's shimmering pages, a figure emerged, a young woman with dark, curly hair that tumbled wildly around her shoulders. Eyes sharp and restless, burning with a fierce light that unsettled me. Her voice broke the quiet, sharp as a slashing wind. "You don't belong here," she said, pacing the narrow space between the shelves, her tone equal parts challenge and warning. I swallowed hard, my heart hammering. "Neither do you," I replied cautiously. She stopped and fixed me with a piercing gaze. "I'm Tamsin," she said, "and I've been trapped in this place longer than you can imagine. The library isn't sanctuary, it's a prison. Every book is a cage, every word a binding." Her words cut through the haze of my thoughts, stirring a storm of questions and fears. The weight of the year I had lost pressed against my lungs, a silent reminder of the price I was paying to be here. "Why, tell me this?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Because you're not like the others," she said, stepping closer, her eyes searching mine. "You hesitate. You fear what this place demands. But you need to understand, if you want to survive, if you want to protect what's hidden here, you have to face the truth." Together, we stepped deeper into the dream realm conjured by the book. The space around us morphed into endless corridors, veiled in mist, with faint echoes of voices and memories that seemed to reach for us, desperate and distant. The air was thick with sorrow and longing, the weight of countless souls bound and silenced within the pages. Tamsin's voice was urgent. "The bindings are stronger than you know. They aren't just spells, they're curses woven from sacrifice and despair. The Curator holds the keys, and his grip tightens every day." I swallowed my rising panic. "Is there a way out?" She shook her head, her expression hardening. "Not without cost, not without risking everything." The dreamscape flickered and shifted, threatening to swallow us in shadows. I reached out, gripping Tamsin's hand, feeling the tremor of resolve beneath her restless energy. When I finally closed the book, the library's quiet embrace returned. The ache inside me was sharper now, a reminder of the year that had slipped away without my permission. But beneath the weight, there was a flicker of something new, hope tempered with caution, a fragile alliance born from shared pain. "We're bound together now," Tamsin said softly. "Whether you like it or not." I met her gaze, a silent promise passing between us. "No matter the cost, I would face the library's secrets. I would learn its true nature. And I would fight to protect the souls trapped within Evan if it meant sacrificing more of myself. Because some prisons were made of dreams, and some dreams came with a price. And I was no longer willing to run from either. Her pale blue shimmer pulsed gently, as if breathing with the library itself. "Come," she whispered, her voice like the rustle of leaves in a distant forest. "There are histories here that only the dreaming realms can reveal." I nodded, the weight of years I had already lost pressing on my chest, but curiosity and something like hope stirring beneath it. We stepped through a veil of iridescent mist, and the world melted away into a sprawling dreamscape. It was a realm of soft luminescence and shifting shapes, where glowing runes danced like fireflies and whispered fragments of forgotten knowledge drifted through the heavy air. The dream realm was unlike anything I had seen before. It was not merely a place, but a living memory, layered in the echoes of countless souls bound to the library's ancient magic. As Eleanor guided me deeper, visions began to unfold, shards of a story written long before I ever found refuge here. I saw a gathering of scholars, cloaked and solemn, poring over arcane texts beneath vaulted ceilings painted with stars. Their faces were etched with both determination and desperation. They sought to harness knowledge beyond the reach of the ordinary world, to grasp secrets that could change the fabric of reality itself. But such power demanded a price. One by one, these scholars made sacrifices, offering years of their lives, their memories, even their very souls in exchange for glimpses of forbidden knowledge. Their spirits, tethered by intricate bindings, became the dreaming souls trapped within the library's countless tomes. The books themselves pulsed softly, as if alive, each heartbeat resonating with the slumbering essence contained inside. Eleanor's voice wove through the visions. "The bindings were meant as protection and preservation," she explained, "a way to keep knowledge safe from those who would misuse it. But in their creation, a curse was born, a prison from which few can escape." I felt a pang deep within me, a sorrow mingled with awe. These souls were not mere stories. They were lives paused, suspended between waking and dreaming. They longed for freedom, yet their captivity had become the very foundation of this sanctuary. As we moved through the shifting dreamscape, the colors darkened, shadows pooling like ink in the corners of my vision. The ache of the trapped souls grew palpable, their silent pleas brushing against my skin like a chill wind. I could feel their yearning, their hope, and their despair intertwining with my own. "Why do you show me this?" I asked Eleanor, my voice trembling. She looked at me with eyes that shimmered like starlight. "Because you are part of this story now, Liora. The library has chosen you as its keeper, but the choice is not without consequence. To protect these souls, to preserve their knowledge, you must understand the sacrifices that bind them. Only then can you hope to find a way to break the curse without losing yourself." The weight of her words settled on me like a shroud. I thought of the years I had already spent here, the ones slipping away with every page I turned, and the faces of the souls I had glimpsed, so many caught in endless sleep. The library was not just a refuge, it was a prison forged from hope and sacrifice. Yet amid the melancholia, a fierce determination began to kindle. If these souls could endure their bindings, if Eleanor's wisdom could guide me, perhaps there was a path forward. A way to honor the sacrifices without becoming another lost year in the library's endless stacks. The dream realm began to dissolve, the glowing runes fading like dying embers as Eleanor's form softened into mist. "Remember," she said gently, "every choice has a cost, but some sacrifices are made for freedom." I awoke back in the library's dim light, the scent of ancient paper and dust heavy in the air. The weight of the dream realm lingered, a bittersweet echo in my heart. I ran my fingers over the spine of the book I had just closed and wondered if the knowledge I had gained would be enough. Outside, the library stood silent and waiting, its secrets still whispering in the shadows. And I was caught between two worlds, the waking and the dreaming, the past and the future, the price of knowledge and the hope of freedom. I took a breath, steadying myself. There was no turning back now. The journey was only beginning. I had been wandering the aisles for what felt like hours, though time here was slippery, measured less by clocks and more by the shifting weight of the knowledge pressing in on me. The faint light filtering through the stained glass windows cast kaleidoscopic patterns on the walls. But even the colors seemed muted, as if subdued by a quiet dread. I paused before a shelf lined with books bound in cracked leather, their spines worn by centuries of touch. The scent of old paper was sharp and bittersweet, mingled with something darker, faint metallic Thames that made my skin prickle. I reached out to brush my fingers over a tome etched with strange runes, but before I could open it, a shiver ran down my spine. It wasn't the usual chill that accompanied the magic here. This was something colder, more deliberate. A whisper brushed my ear, too soft to catch the words, but heavy with meaning. I spun around, heart hammering, but the aisle was empty. The shadows between the stacks seemed to ripple, bending and twisting as if alive. The silence pressed against me, thick and suffocating. "Do not linger here," a voice said, low and resonant, echoing from nowhere and everywhere at once. Before I could respond, a figure materialized in the gloom at the far end of the aisle. Tall and gaunt, cloaked in robes darker than the shadows themselves, he stood still as a statue. His eyes glowed faintly, ember-like, piercing the dimness with a gaze that felt like it could unravel the very fabric of my being. The library seemed to recoil in his presence. The air grew colder, the silence deeper. I swallowed hard, the weight of his stare settling like iron chains around my chest. I wanted to speak, to ask who he was, but my voice caught in my throat. Instead, I took a hesitant step back, tracing my path through the labyrinth of forgotten knowledge. The figure did not pursue me, but I knew he was watching, always watching. I had heard whispers from the dreaming souls before tales of a master who ruled the library's depths with an iron will, a keeper of secrets who hoarded the magic for himself. Now, I had seen him. Later, in the solitude of a quiet alcove, Eleanor appeared. Her translucent form shimmered softly, a pale blue light that seemed to push back the shadows just enough to breathe. "You have felt his presence," she said gently, her voice like a breeze through leaves. "The Curator watches all who enter. He is the guardian and the jailer, bound to this place by his own ambition. Why does he keep the souls trapped?" I asked, my fingers trembling as I traced the delicate edges of a nearby book. Eleanor's eyes were sorrowful. "He fears what freedom might bring. The knowledge here is power, but it comes with a price. The Curator believes that by controlling the magic, he preserves it. But in truth, he has become its prisoner as much as the souls he holds captive." I wanted to understand, to find a way to bargain or reason with him. But the truth was darker. The Curator embodied the very cost of obsession, the sacrifice of compassion for control. That night, I found myself drawn again to the shelves, unable to resist the pull. I selected a book, the leather cold beneath my fingers, and carefully opened it. The world around me dissolved into swirling mists and shifting shapes, a dream realm unlike any I had seen. Forgotten knowledge bloomed in vivid colors, memories of lives long lost, and secrets whispered on the wind. But as the visions unfolded, I felt it the tug at my soul, the invisible thread being pulled. A year of my life slipped away, as it always did. Around me, the shadows deepened, thickening like ink spilled across the pages. The curator's presence was a tightening noose, a silent warning. I closed the book with a snap, breath ragged. The room settled back into the dim quiet of the library, but I knew the balance was shifting. The curator's shadow was spreading, threading itself through every corner, every dream. I was caught between sanctuary and prison, knowledge and sacrifice, and the path ahead was shrouded in darkness. Yet, despite the fear, I could not turn away. The library held the answers I sought, but at what cost? That was a question I could no longer ignore. As I moved deeper into the stacks, the whispered warning echoed in my mind. Do not linger here, but I had no choice. The library was alive, and it had chosen me, and in its heart, the curator waited.